I used to work as a pizza delivery driver in a small town in Oregon. It wasn't the most exciting job, but it paid the bills, and the tips were decent, especially on rainy nights when people didn't want to leave the house. This happened in 2019, on a night I'll never forget. It was a slow Thursday, and I was about to clock out when the phone rang. A last-minute order. The address was way out on the edge of town, practically in the woods. My manager asked if I could take it since I lived in that direction anyway. I agreed, even though the rain was coming down in sheets. The GPS had trouble finding the exact house, but after about 25 minutes of driving and backtracking, I found the road, more like a gravel path, that led deep into the trees. No streetlights. My high beams barely reached more than a few feet ahead. The only sound was the wipers and the crunching of gravel beneath the tires. I finally reached the house, an old 2-story cabin with a porch light flickering like it hadn't been replaced in years. The house looked off, not abandoned exactly, but neglected. The kind of place you wouldn't expect someone to order pizza from. I grabbed the pizza and walked to the door, trying to stay dry under the overhang. I knocked once. Nothing. Waited a few seconds. Knocked again, louder. Then I heard it, a thump inside, like someone had dropped something heavy. Then silence. I was about to knock again when the door creaked open. Standing in the doorway was a boy, maybe 10 or 11 years old. He looked pale and thin, with dark circles under his eyes. He didn't say anything, just stared at the pizza box in my hands. "Hey there," I said, trying to keep my voice light. "Got a large pepperoni for you. Is your mom or dad around?" He didn't answer, just stepped aside, silently inviting me in. Now, let me be clear. I never go into customers' homes. It's against company policy. But something about the way he moved, or maybe the weather, made me hesitate. Against my better judgment, I stepped just inside the door, staying near the entrance. The house was cold. Not cool, cold. There were no lights on except a dim lamp in the corner of what looked like the living room. I could see a couch, some old furniture, and what looked like a pile of blankets or clothes on the floor. The air smelled musty, like mold and old wood. "Where should I set this?" I asked. The boy pointed to a table by the wall. I placed the pizza down and turned back to him. "Do you need change, or—" That's when I noticed something strange. There were no pictures on the walls, no signs of anyone else living there, no sound, no movement upstairs. And that pile of blankets in the living room? It wasn't blankets. It was a person, an older man, maybe in his 60s, was lying there, barely conscious. He was breathing, but his eyes were unfocused, and his face looked bruised. I stepped toward him instinctively. "Sir, are you okay?" The boy suddenly blocked my path. He looked up at me and shook his head slowly. "He doesn't like visitors." His voice was quiet, almost emotionless. That's when I realized something. This wasn't his house. This wasn't anyone's normal house. I stepped back and reached for my phone. I wasn't sure if I should call 911 or what, but I knew I needed to get out. Then I heard footsteps above me. Slow, deliberate, heavy. Someone else was upstairs. I didn't say a word. I backed out the door, trying not to run. The boy didn't follow. He just stood there, watching me with that same dead expression. I got in my car and locked the doors. As I pulled away, I looked in the rearview mirror and saw a second figure step out onto the porch. A man. Tall, broad shoulders, wearing what looked like a butcher's apron. I didn't wait to see more. I floored it down that gravel road, nearly skidding into a ditch. I reported the address to the police when I got back to town. They said they'd send someone out, but when I followed up later, they told me the house had been vacant for over a year. No signs of anyone living there. I still have nightmares about that night. I don't know what I walked into. A squat, a hideout, maybe something worse. But I'm glad I left when I did. I never saw that boy again. Never took another delivery that far out either. And now, every time it rains, I think about that house, that man, that kid, and I wonder what would have happened if I had stayed even a minute longer. I don't usually share stories online, but something happened to me 2 years ago that I still can't explain, and I've never stopped thinking about it. Maybe writing it down will help me sleep better. It was a Friday night in late October, and the rain had been relentless all day, the kind that blurs your windshield no matter how high you crank the wipers. I was driving back home from a friend's house, taking the back roads because the highway was shut down due to an accident. I live in a pretty rural part of Pennsylvania, so the detour took me through a long stretch of unlit, forest-lined road, the kind of place where your headlights barely cut through the darkness and every shadow looks like it's moving. Around 11:30 p.m., I saw a man on the side of the road. He was standing just at the edge of the trees, drenched from head to toe, with no umbrella or jacket. He was facing the road, but not exactly looking at the cars, just still, staring down the wet pavement. Now, I'm not the type to pick up hitchhikers, especially that late at night. But something about this guy made me slow down. Maybe it was guilt, or maybe just curiosity. I didn't stop completely, but I slowed enough to get a better look. He was tall, maybe 6 feet 2 inches or so, with soaking wet clothes clinging to him. I couldn't make out his face clearly, but what I saw didn't seem right. His expression wasn't scared or angry, it was blank, like someone in shock. Then something even stranger happened. As I passed him, I looked in the rearview mirror and saw that he had turned to face my car. Not walking, just standing there, watching me drive away. I felt this sudden chill, not from the cold, from something else. Instinctively, I pressed on the gas. About 5 minutes down the road, I glanced at the gas gauge and realized I was almost empty. Dumb, I know, but I hadn't filled up before heading out. I pulled into this old gas station I'd never noticed before. It looked like it hadn't been renovated since the 70s, but it was lit, and it was open. Or at least, I thought it was. As I stepped out of the car, I noticed something weird. There was no sound. No rain hitting the roof, no wind, nothing. Just silence. It felt wrong. I tried to shake it off and went to pump the gas, but the card reader was broken, and the place looked completely abandoned up close. Then I heard a voice behind me. "You're not supposed to be here." I turned around fast. It was the man. The same man from the side of the road, soaked to the bone, standing 10 feet away from me. I swear, there was no way he could have gotten there on foot. Not in that time, not in that rain. I froze. I wanted to ask who he was, or what he meant, but I couldn't get the words out. He didn't move, just stared at me with that same blank expression. Then he pointed, not at me, but at my car. I looked. All 4 of my tires were slashed, clean, deep cuts. I spun back around, but the man was gone. Just gone. I didn't sleep that night. I had to call a tow truck and wait nearly an hour with the doors locked and the engine off, trying not to lose my mind in the dark. To this day, no one believes me. The gas station doesn't even show up on Google Maps anymore. I went back during the day a week later, and it was just a foundation and overgrown weeds, like it had been gone for years. I don't know who or what that man was, but I've never driven that road again, and I never will. I was 17 when this happened, and it completely changed the way I think about trusting strangers, especially during storms. It was late March. I was driving back from a study group at a friend's place on the other side of town. I had borrowed my mom's old sedan, and the plan was simple: take the main road home, grab some drive-thru, and be back by midnight. But around 9:30 p.m., the rain started. Not a drizzle, I mean a full-on downpour that turned the streets into rivers within an hour. I was already nervous driving in bad weather, so I took it slow. My phone kept buzzing with flood warnings, and traffic was crawling. Then I remembered a shortcut. A back road called Tully Lane that cuts through the woods and connects to the main road near my neighborhood. I had taken it once before during the day and figured it could save me at least 20 minutes. Big mistake. As soon as I turned onto Tully Lane, it felt different. The trees leaned in from both sides, and the rain got heavier, like the canopy was just funneling it downward. The road was barely wide enough for one car, and the gravel had turned into mud. Still, I kept going, telling myself it would be over soon. About halfway through, I saw a car parked on the side of the road, hazard lights blinking, hood up. It was a dark blue pickup truck, and a man was standing beside it waving his arms. I slowed down, instinct screaming at me, but he looked desperate. Mid-40s maybe, soaked through, no jacket, just jeans and a flannel shirt. I rolled down my window a few inches. "You okay?" "My truck died," he said, shouting over the rain. "Can you give me a ride to the gas station up the road? It's just a few miles." I hesitated. There was a gas station in that direction, a small one near the main road. I'd been there before. "I don't usually pick up people," I said. He gave me a tight smile. "I get it, but I've been out here for almost an hour. No one's come by. I just need to get to a phone." I glanced around. No signal on my phone. No other cars. Just him, me, and rain. Against my better judgment, I unlocked the door. He got in and immediately thanked me, wiping water from his face. He smelled like wet dirt and something else I couldn't place. Sharp, metallic maybe. We drove in silence for a bit. I tried to focus on the road, but I could feel him watching me. "You in high school?" he finally asked. "Yeah. Senior." He nodded. "Tully Lane's not a great place to be during floods. Gets slippery fast." I nodded, gripping the wheel tighter. Something about his tone felt off, like he wasn't making conversation, more like he was studying me. Then he asked, "You live around here?" I didn't answer. My stomach dropped. My instinct kicked in hard, screaming to get him out. Just then, I noticed something in the rearview mirror. His truck, headlights off, parked crooked, but there was something else. Another figure, someone sitting in the driver's seat. "You said you were alone," I said quietly. He didn't answer. I looked at him. "You said you were stuck out here for an hour, but someone's in the truck." Still nothing. Just this slow smile spreading across his face. "They're not the problem," he said. "You are." I slammed the brakes. The car skidded in the mud, fishtailed, but came to a stop. Without thinking, I threw the door open and ran. I didn't look back, just ran into the woods, slipping in the wet leaves, branches slapping my face. I could hear him yelling behind me. Then a door slam, tires spinning. They were chasing me. I could hear the engine revving. I don't know how I made it, but I ended up at a ranger station about a mile from the road. It was dark, but I pounded on the door until someone answered. An old ranger let me in and called the sheriff. By the time they got to Tully Lane, the truck was gone. No sign of anyone. No footprints in the mud. Just my car, still running, door hanging open. A week later, I saw a story on the news. 2 hikers found an abandoned truck deep in the woods. Inside were plastic sheets, duct tape, a stun gun, and a box of disposable phones. No fingerprints. Plates were stolen. No one ever claimed it. The police told me I was lucky. I wasn't lucky. I was stupid and terrified. I never told my mom the full story. I just said the car slid off the road and I had to run for help. Now, every time it rains and I see someone broken down on the side of the road, I think about that man. And I keep driving. Because some shortcuts aren't meant to be taken.